Hi and welcome to Upfront. I'm your host, Kristina Kruchkowski. On this episode, we've got City of Trail Mayor Mike Martin joining us in our Castlegar studio. Since his retirement from tech trail operations in 2011, Mike Martin has volunteered countless hours with a number of local groups focused on building a strong and vibrant community. Martin was elected for his first term on Trails City Council as mayor in 2014 and also currently sits on the Kootenay Savings Credit Union Board of Directors and is a member of the Economic Advisory Committee of Columbia Basin Trust. Thank you for joining us on Upfront, Mayor Martin. Let's just dive right into the current big project that's happening in downtown Trail, the Riverfront Center. So I know that the Riverfront Center is scheduled to open this spring, 2018, and it's going to house the Trail and District Library, Public Library, the Trail Museum and Archives, as well as the Visitor Info Center. Tell us a little bit about where that huge project is at now.
Well, the project is probably just over a month away from opening. We anticipate opening the first week of April. Actually, we took possession of the building about a month ago. And what's happening right now is all the museum artifacts and displays are being installed, and the library is moving all the books and associated equipment from the existing location into the new location. So we're in the final stages and looking for the grand opening early in April.
Is the library and the museum hoping to be fully set up upon opening date?
Absolutely it is. I mean, that's why we're taking the time right now. We actually closed the existing library a few weeks ago, and part of it was to move all the equipment over, but the other part is to train all the staff in the new facility with the new equipment, and the fact that there is now an integrated facility. So we just want to make sure that when we open the doors, the residents of our region will see a very transparent and open building, one that is welcoming, and it's not a library, it's not a museum, it's a combination of the two, and I think it's going to be well received by the community.
I was reading a bit about the new center, and in the article I read, it was being called a hub for learning, culture, and visitor information. So more of a sum of all of its parts. Would that be fair to say?
No, it's exactly it, and we hope that it will become a real hub for the community, some place where community members can come and enjoy a peaceful time. And I will say that when we got into the design of this facility with Stantec, who are the architects involved, they came up with a very novel concept, and it was quite bold, I think, of the building committee to actually embrace this design, which was to rotate the top floor by 90 degrees. And the objective there is really to take advantage of the location. And so what has happened as a result of that is a spectacular looking building, but one which provides a fantastic view up and down the river.
I saw some photos on social media. It looks just beautiful. Lots of windows full of light.
Yes, and it is full of light. And and I understand from staff who've actually been working there in the evenings a little bit, it's even more spectacular at night. So really looking forward to the opening and really getting to enjoy that with the community.
Mm-hmm. So with the Riverfront Center project now pretty much completed, just give us a quick look back at the journey of how this project began and to get to where it is now.
Well, of course, the journey began back in 2014 when the residents of Trail approved through a referendum the construction of the facility. And at that point in time, the estimated cost was $6.3 million. And as the project got finalized and we got a more complete design in place, recognized that in order to deliver the product that was really anticipated by the community, the price tag would be considerably higher than that, and the final cost is estimated, and we're pretty well on budget, is estimated at $8.3 million. And we're just delighted with the fact that two major partners came to the table with regard to providing some additional funding. It was Columbia Basin Trust with $500,000 and Tech Trail Operations with $1.5 million.
Wow.
So that really made up the difference we were looking for. And then the other part of it is both the library and the museum have had very successful fundraising campaigns. I think it's totaling over $350,000 now. So, good financial support, and that's allowed us to put together this wonderful facility. And we've had a great architectural firm working with us, and a contractor. The architectural firm is Stantec, the contractor Ledcor, and we can't say enough about how wonderful they've been to work with. And I think that's a result of us bringing in a project on budget. We're a little bit behind schedule. Last winter was a very trying time for the construction during the very cold weather, but we managed to keep it on budget, and now looking forward to this opening.
So now let's widen our scope a little bit from the Riverfront Center and look at the downtown as a whole. I think that the Riverfront Center is going to work really well bringing people into the downtown, especially with the Visitor Info Center being there. But let's talk about the revitalization plan that the City of Trail has for the downtown core.
This is a really interesting journey as well, and have to provide a lot of credit to the previous council. Because back in 2010, I believe it was, there was a clear recognition that something had to happen in the downtown area, not just downtown, but in the Gulch and East Trail, and what was that going to look like? And the council of the day commissioned some work to have a look at a revitalization plan, and that was brought to fruition in 2012. And from that has evolved a number of projects. The first two that evolved from that plan revitalizing the downtown, one was the markets that were put on the Esplanade, and will be continuing even into the future as far as we can see right now, a little changed format. And the bridge lighting, the Victoria Street Bridge lighting project evolved from that plan. So two successful projects evolved, and then was the vision about what was going to happen with the downtown area itself. And there was definitely some interest in working in the Esplanade area and see what could be done. And as a result of the investments being made by the city, and this was part of the plan, through the Columbia River Skywalk, the terminal building at the airport, all of these have manifested themselves in some increased confidence in the community, and we are now seeing some private investment happening. And the biggest thing that is happening in downtown Trail is the revitalization of the old Crown Point Hotel.
Okay.
And the city had to make a major commitment to provide some additional parking for that venture, but it's all come together now, and we expect to see the start of that work very soon. That's going to be a huge investment, private investment in the downtown area, creating another centerpiece of accommodation and a small convention center. And then we've seen other private investment happening, whether it's the Arlington Hotel, Ferrero Foods with their work going on, Austin Engineering coming into town, and of course the Trail Beer Refinery opening up last year. So the private investment has started to create some excitement in the downtown, and that's what we plan on continuing to work on, and that's in part is why the city moved forward with the purchase of the Union Hotel, and we eventually hope to see that manifest itself in some further private investment for some attractive element in the community in the downtown. And the other one that we've taken possession of is the old medical clinic opposite the Charles Bailey Theatre. And we'll be working on that sometime in the future. But for now, we're on the completing stage of a number of major projects that have really stretched the city financially, but I think have laid a good foundation to move forward.
Welcome back to Upfront. We're talking with Mayor Mike Martin here in our Castlegar studio. So before the break, we were talking about revitalizing the downtown area, which leads me into my next topic, which is affordable housing in Trail. I was reading recently on social media that Trail has committed to providing local tax relief to an affordable housing initiative. One related to new affordable housing rental units developed in Trail. Tell me, Mike Martin, a little bit more about that initiative. What does it entail?
Well, this is a really interesting initiative that evolved through the Lower Columbia Community Development Team Society, which is one of our local economic development groups. And within that group, there's a committee on attainable housing. And for years, that's been headed up by Jan Morton, who is the executive director of the Skills Center. And Jan put together a very strong committee to really work towards developing some attainable housing. And this is for individuals that are financially in need of some secure housing. And through that initiative, that committee was able to raise over $1 million.
Wow.
To start looking at units, and this is from across the region, right from Roslyn through to Fruitvale. And right now, they have committed all of that funding to both Roslyn and Trail. There's a facility in Roslyn, I think it's either 4 or 5 units, and then in Trail, there was a house purchased, converted into 2 individual units, and then they found that it was probably more economic to actually do a new build. And we were just delighted to see this come about. It's a 4-plex that's being built in East Trail, right beside the Columbia River Skywalk. And it just opened this last January. So the City of Trail has been providing tax relief by way of municipal tax relief on those 2 facilities. And just this last month we were approached again by the Housing Society to see if we would entertain further tax relief in the event they were able to secure some additional funding and construct some additional units. And the City of Trail has agreed to do that.
Moving away from the downtown area now, let's look south to the new airport terminal, which just opened in the last couple of months. Tell us what it's meant to the City of Trail to have this really updated facility. And have you had any comments or feedback from the community?
Well, we've had lots of feedback, and I'll get to that in a minute, but this is again another very interesting journey that has happened over a number of years. And again, it was an initiative that came out of the Lower Columbia Development Team Society with a committee that really was spearheaded by a few volunteers that really wanted to see to prove out that an alternate air service into the region could improve the affordability, reliability, and the convenience of air transport in and out of the region. And convinced Pacific Coastal at the time to come forward. And I mean, all we had was the airport at Trail and the Flying Club clubhouse. And fortunately we were able to lease the clubhouse from the Flying Club for a number of years and really prove out that this would be of value. And from a business perspective, Pacific Coastal has been delighted with the service and the returns it generates for their company. But in addition to that, has provided another air access into the region. And so once we had proven out the reliability of the service and were convinced of the uptake from the region, City of Trail made the commitment to really just explore the opportunity to upgrade the terminal building. And the other thing that was facing us was the fact that the runway had been there for many, many years, and it was in a deteriorating condition, and it desperately needed an upgrade as well. So we started looking at different funding opportunities, and absolutely delighted with the fact that both the provincial government and the federal government came to the table recognizing how important air transport is into rural regions. And we received $1.2 million from the provincial government and close to $5 million from the federal government. And with those two funding streams, we were able to not only build a new terminal, but we also were able to refurbish the runway. So today we've got a very nice modern facility. It's not large, but it's very modern. A lot of work went into the design of it, with looking at customer comfort, but also servicing not only Pacific Coastal, but any private activity that may come into the region. So, what we've got today is really a splendid addition to air service in and out of the region. We've had tremendous support from local businesses who are sponsoring various aspects of the building and providing for easy access in and out. We've got improved parking. There's a kids' play area and a business center, which are both being sponsored by local businesses. So it's been a very good effort by a lot of people, and we're just so thankful for that. And now we're providing this alternate service into Vancouver.
So must be some really great feedback coming from the community then.
It really is, and I think a great delight that we actually got to this point. And I think the thing for me that was most satisfying was the day we opened the airport. We had something like 300 residents show up, and it was mind-blowing. We actually had these little cupcakes, and we misjudged the size of the group considerably, but I think that just demonstrated the support and excitement of having the service.
Okay, now I know we've been pretty project heavy so far in the show, but I have one more project I want to talk to you about, and it's something that's been on the horizon in Trail since I've lived here for the past 13 years, the skate park, having a skate park in Trail. And now that dream is set to become a reality thanks to funding from the Columbia Basin Trust and as well as a generous donation from the Murphy family. The project is now about to move forward. Tell us about the plans for the new all-wheel skate park in Gyro Park.
Well, this is going to be another spectacular addition to the community, and you're absolutely right, Kristina. This was on everybody's mind during the last election, and I think almost to a person, everyone that's on council today was questioned on their position with regard to the skate park. And it's really an absolute delight to see this really come to fruition. We were all committed to making it come about, but how did we fit it into all the other projects that have been undertaken? And it's really just great in the final year of our term here that we saw a way of having that done. And you're absolutely correct. We could not do that without the support of others. And the Columbia Basin Trust came to the table through their recreation granting program, and just right out of the blue, the Rich and Annie Murphy Family Foundation came to the table in a big way to do something else for the community besides promoting a hockey team. So it's going to be located in Gyro Park.
What a great location, by the way.
It's right beside the river.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen the design, but it's going to be quite spectacular. It's going to be a world-class all-wheel park. And I know some of the residents in the area were really concerned about noise, but with the modern design now, there's less noise coming off the actual movement of the skate and the activity on the concrete. And in addition to that, it's actually going to be sunk down to a lower level than the surrounding area. So there will be less noise propagation coming off the facility. And so I think it's going to fit in very well at Gyro Park. It's just going to be another family attraction in a beautiful, beautiful setting.
What is the timeline on the skate park project? When is construction going to start?
Well, the contract has already been let.
Okay.
And as soon as the ground thaws, so we expect sometime in April that there'll be the groundbreaking, and the company that's going to be building it is building there's limited building season, I guess, for these sorts of facilities, so they're undertaking a number of them across the country, and ours is fitted into that schedule. So right now, as we understand it, it'll be starting in sort of the April time frame and completion in September.
So, oh, wow. So maybe some time to ride it still this year.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We're certainly looking forward to that.
I'm sure the community is as well.
Yes.
Welcome back to Up Front. We're here talking with Mayor Mike Martin in studio. So far, we've been talking all about exciting projects in and around the City of Trail. Let's switch gears now and talk about community health and focus in on lead levels in the soil and the air. As long as I've been living here, I remember hearing this brought up at various times. And my understanding is that every year, children in the trail area are able to participate in a voluntary blood level testing through the Trail Area Health and Environment Committee, which I understand you are a chair of. So the results of this last testing clinic are now out, and they're exciting, are they not? Tell us a little bit about those results.
Thank you, Kristina. Yes, it is very exciting what's transpired over the last year. But first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the Trail Health and Environment Committee.
Sure.
Of all the work that I do as mayor, it's probably one of the most delightful jobs is to chair this committee. And it's a consortium between the City of Trail, representing the community, Interior Health, the Ministry of Environment, and tech. And it's a volunteer-operated committee that is really driven by the community members who actually help in setting targets and action plans. And this is a committee that's been in place for close to 30 years now.
Wow.
And has sustained over that period of time and has demonstrated that through this community input, the right things can happen and have happened. And this last year, we saw the lowest blood lead levels in trail in the last 30 years. And the result came back at on an average of 4 micrograms per deciliter. And that was a significant decrease from where it had been previously, and we've seen a steady decreasing trend. And a lot of this has come about through certainly work that's been undertaken by tech to reduce emissions. And what's transpired over the last while is a recognition that the largest impact now from the smelter on the community with regard to lead particulate is from fugitive emissions. And so these are emissions that happen through disturbance of materials on the property. Tech recognized that a couple of years ago and just recently commissioned and started operating a $40 million recycle building, which puts all of these materials inside a building and contains all of the material and makes sure that any ventilation is all filtered. And as a result of that, we've seen this dramatic decrease in fugitive emissions, transposing itself into decreased blood lead levels. And in addition to that are all the programs that are offered through the Trail Health and Environment Committee. There's the Healthy Homes program, lead-safe renovations, and all of these have really helped awareness and bringing down the lead levels. And there's still extensive soil testing being done in the community, and where necessary, there's remediation taking place in vegetable gardens, yards where there's young children, and it's all manifesting itself in putting us in the right direction here.
Something to be proud of, for sure.
It is, it is, and having lived in the community for close to 45 years now, I've really seen firsthand the benefits of what has taken place, and it has been quite dramatic, and continue to make for a healthier community.
So 45 years in the community and 3.5 years as mayor on council. This was your first term with the City Council. Give us a little reflection or a look back at your time so far on City Council.
It's been very exciting, to say the least. And when we made it, when I say we, it was my wife was a big part of the decision of me taking on a role within the elected realm, and really stepping out for the first time into an elected role, because I had not been in that sort of capacity in the past. And it was really looking to see what we could do to help the community, and part of what I was trying to relay to the community at that time was really looking at the growth, vitality, and pride of the community, and that really somehow worked itself into the first strategic plan of council. So the strategic plan that we put together in early 2015 had 10 elements to it, and what we can honestly say today is that 8 of those 10 elements have actually essentially been put to bed. And for anyone sort of working on strategic plans, I mean, it's quite an accomplishment.
Yes. Well, thank you. I was going to say, job well done on that first term as mayor.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Kristina.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Okay.